Yo, what's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. Happy New Year, January 4th, 2024. And this is a brand new episode of Snaps. That's disconcerting. I'm hearing my own echo. There we go. I am T-Bob Hebert. He's Aaron Murray, the man in the middle, who we normally don't do live. We normally record and release this show. But that's our guy, Colin Wilson from the Big Bets on Campus podcast. Colin has helped us to, at least me. Aaron's a little wuss, and after one down weekend, he's never come back. But Colin helped me grow my nut quite significantly during this season. It's been great. You see the green lights in the background. That means it's been dubs for our guy, Colin. You catch his work on the Action Network. He's an excellent follow, has really fascinating insight. Told you how these last two playoff games were going to go, and that worked out quite nicely. So a ton to get to today, as today we're mainly going to talk national championship, Washington and Michigan. Now, there is some Quinshon Judkins news, which is shocking, that we'll touch on probably near the end. But Colin, Aaron, what's going on, guys? Aaron, start with you. What's up, man? How you feeling today?
I was doing good, and then just hit with this Quinshon news about 5 minutes ago. I just saw the headlines, and I'm flabbergasted that Quinshon is hitting the portal. I thought Ole Miss has had all the momentum over the past month. I think more momentum than anyone else in the country, besides obviously the two teams playing for national championship, of winning 11-2, beating a powerhouse in Penn State, demolishing them, honestly. And then everything that they've done in the transfer portal, you get your quarterback back, you got Quinshon back. It looks like Lane Kiffin's going to build a top 10 roster for next season. And then you lose probably your best player on your roster in Quinshon. I'm shocked. I could not believe that he's honestly hitting the portal.
Hey, somebody's going to pay you more. You take that job. It's just kind of like a fucking basic fact of life. Colin, what's up, brother? What's going on, man? So happy to do this live this week with you. How you doing today?
Oh, I wish I could go 20 years back and get into the portal and get paid like some of these kids. It's an arms race in college football right now. Even my Arkansas Razorbacks, we don't have enough money to afford some of these. But the Quinshon Judkins, no one creates more missed tackles. How does Jackson Dart run zone read without him? It's going to be that's a huge loss.
Well, and what's weird, or what sucks for an Ole Miss fan, and I mean, it doesn't suck that bad, right? Sorry to have a little fly in your ointment. You're incredible fucking.
It's a big ass fly,
but
big ass.
It is. No doubt. Yeah, and it kind of like one of the best parts about Ole Miss wasn't just the new talent; it was the returning talent combined with, right? And that's a significant blow to that returning portion of that. Okay, I guess we kind of talked about it there. So there you go. Really crazy. Quinshon Judkins in the portal, maybe leaving Ole Miss. But hey, again, this is what Lane Kiffin has to battle. You, and this is not wrong. I'm not saying this as a pejorative, but when you create a mercenary culture, you have to deal with the mercenary effects, right? And this is simply that. All right. We are going to dive. Yeah, Turner Young, our resident Maine Washington fan. You guys are really starting the show off with fucking Judkins. Who gives a fuck? Fair, Turner. So let's dive in to the natty. And it's the most exciting natty that we've ever seen in my lifetime, for what it's worth. Because it's new. Yeah, it's new. At least since I've been doing this job, I would feel confident. Not to say there haven't been massive matches, maybe like some of the Clemson, Alabamas of the past, but like to have just two teams that haven't won it since at least 98, right? Like before the BCS. They're two teams that are so solid. They're two teams that where the whole is greater than the sum of their parts. And it's just like good football, complete teams. And it's not your Nick Sabans and just the overwhelming money of Georgia or something like that. And so I think there's a lot that the average person.
T-Bob is overwhelming money of Georgia. Act like we're just spending just $1 trillion a year on NIL and recruiting. And
you do. Why Georgia literally spends more than anybody on recruiting by a large gap. What are you talking about?
On recruiting.
On recruiting. That's what I said. You fucking said it.
Like it's just only money, Colin. It's only money. Colin's the money man. It's only money that Georgia's been able to win football games. That's it. It's just the money.
Okay. Wait. So you think if Georgia was spending at the level of Arkansas, they'd be having the success they're having?
I'm just acting like you stop acting like Georgia's the only one spending money. Georgia's not the only one spending money.
My point is they spend significant, you little Georgia, little defensive boy bitch. They spend so much more money than Washington does and then Michigan does. That's all I'm saying.
Steve Turner Young knows it. It's the Jewish in me. It's the half Jewish in me just trying to be conservative over here.
He can say that. He can say that. He's that Jewish.
I can say that.
All right, Colin, speaking of money, Colin's a real money man here, as all he does is make us money. So we're going to talk about this game, not just from a picks angle, though I do want to get your pick, but I want to see, because Colin has a really interesting system that is data-based, and I've seen it. I've seen the graphs, and it's so accurate all the time. So I want to see what the numbers are saying about this matchup. Colin, first give me your kind of overarching thoughts on these two teams squaring up.
Michigan's offense is going to run wild here. The quorum props are out, and they are justified in their price. When you look at Washington, yeah, they are great at putting pressure on quarterbacks in passing situations. Is Michigan ever going to be outside of a standard down here? And I think when I look at it, you look at their run concepts, whether it's power, man, inside zone, outside zone, it doesn't matter. What Michigan does, they put someone in motion, they pull a weak side lineman, and they send way more blockers to one side of the line.
Yeah.
And they let Corum just play pinball in there. Now, the explosiveness is gone from Corum, but what that means is Michigan can literally own the clock here. They could own this clock for 40 minutes, let Corum get 17 first downs, and the red zone is where there are huge issues here because Michigan is 7th nationally in red zone rushing touchdowns. Washington's defense is 112th in allowing rushing red zone TDs. And I'm going to – I have a real problem seeing how the Washington defense from a run perspective is going to get Michigan into long distances and get McCarthy, what you think would make mistakes. He hasn't had an interception since week 4. Why? Well, Sharon Moore saw J.J. McCarthy try to attempt to pass at the beginning of the Rose Bowl, almost got picked off. Every attempt from there on out was low risk. Comebackers at the sideline, nothing that was going to get them in trouble for a pick 6. Guys, go back to Penn State. J.J. McCarthy didn't even attempt to pass because Blake Corum was so successful running the ball. There is a prop out there right now, J.J. McCarthy to go under 0.5 interceptions. I'm hitting it because I'm not even sure he gets a passing attempt if Corum's going crazy. Now, let's talk about Corum real quick, a bets on Michigan before I flip to Washington. He has scored at least 2 rushing touchdowns in 9 of 14 games this season. That's 57%. That tells you should lay a minus 130 prop on 2+ TDs for Blake Corum. What is his number? Plus 150. That thing's got 80 cents of juice to run. Blake Corum, 2 TDs. If you want to lay minus 320 on an anytime TD, if you can handle that kind of juice, if you want first score, whatever, Corum is the only one that gets red zone attempts. I believe dating back to Penn State, Corum's had every red zone attempt except for 3. One was Samaj Morgan. 2 were Donovan Edwards. That's it. They all belong to Blake Corum. So don't even think about getting cute. You want to get cute and maybe get a long shot prop? Let's go to the other side of the ball. Washington's offense. I can't really discern Michigan's secondary numbers because of the schedule they've faced, the quarterbacks they've faced, the wide receivers they've faced. Yeah. Marvin Harrison Jr. caught only 5 of his 9 targets. He likes to run a lot of hitch. Michigan was pretty good at shutting that down, but at the same time, the quarterback is Kyle McCord. It's not Michael Penix Jr. And then I've heard the narrative already built out there that these defensive ends are going to be able to get a lot of pressure on Michael Penix here. Braden McGregor is coming on really strong the last 3 games. But the deal is the tackles for Washington individually in PFF from all tackles in FBS rank top 8 in allowing pressure. We're talking like 2 sacks this year, 2 quarterback hits. That's it in 1,138 snaps. Michigan's defensive line is really good, but Penix just doesn't get sacked or get hit or whatsoever. So what are we looking at on the Washington offense? A lot of 50-50 balls like the Sugar Bowl, and Washington won every single one of them. So it's hard to discern on the Washington side how great they're going to be because it's all 50-50 balls and it's going up against a new secondary that's been pretty good. But like, again, it's Big Ten quarterbacks. So I'm not sure what we're going to get. Now, when it comes to a prop, you want to say something, Aaron, before I get to the props on Washington?
No, I have to prepare my next question before T-Bob just takes over again. So
okay, fair.
Well, the Washington props are crazy. Like, if you want to take a long shot, it's going to be right here. If you go to first TD scores, it is a long list of names. Even a defensive score is in there. You think maybe you want to hit a Duns or Polk or one of those wide receivers. It's really been Dylan Johnson and a lot, but guess who's now running the ball again after having 2 ACL tears? Michael Penix Jr. He had 44 rushing yards coming into the Sugar Bowl, had 30 against Texas, 2 designed calls, 1 scramble. I think that's been in the playbook the entire season. They've held on to it the entire season. And you want to go with the narrative that these defensive edges are going to get pressure. Where's Michael Penix going to go? His designed run that goes right over center and right guard. I love Michael Penix rushing props. I can't find a book out there. I've been psyched. I was up till 3 a.m. looking for a prop. It's coming. It's probably going to be 5 to 15 yards. I'm playing this over up to 14.5 whenever it gets out there. So I do love that. As far as a first TD prop, I think this is really where you can get wild. Michael Penix rushing TD, first TD, 30-1. They've got some other ones out there. His name is escaping me real quick. It's Jeremy Bernard. Jeremy Bernard is, so the deal with Dylan Johnson is if he's hurt, I know he's walking around a boot after the game. He might not be the running back that Washington needs, but look at what they've done with Dylan Johnson before in the red zone. They've actually lined up Jeremy Bernard out in the slot or out at wide out, and he'll go in a jet sweep motion, and Dylan Johnson will just shovel past that forward and let Jeremy Bernard score a touchdown. They did that against Oregon. Bernard has had touches in the red zone in previous games, the last 3 or 4 games. He's 30-1 for first TD prop. So I like Penix, Bernard, first TD props on Washington. You guys want overall picks? Michigan's just too strong. Oh, how can I not talk about this with Aaron here? Who is the one head official that calls the most personal fouls in all of college footbul? Ed Ardito of the First Responders Bowl of Texas State and Rice, right?
Oh.
Who is the second highest officiating crew that calls personal fouls? Marcus Woods, who's calling this national championship game. You dive into the ACC officiating crew that's calling this, they are the highest defensive pass interference, highest personal fouls of any officiating crew in college football. So you want to play into that? Washington is 132nd in penalties this year. They're second to last. Michigan is second in penalties this year. They are so disciplined. They average only 26 penalty yards per game. If you want to parlay that defensive pass interference, I mean, Washington could get spotted some free yards here. I think both teams are going to take advantage of this Marcus Woods referee crew that's going to give free yards, free field position, and extra scoring opportunities.
See, I never knew that. I wonder if coaches look into that a little bit too. I've never thought of that before, like looking to what the referee crew calls and then kind of maybe adjusting your game plan to it a little bit, because that does to me favor a little bit of Washington, push them all the field. I want to ask you this, Colin. You brought up the time of possession a little bit earlier, and I think that's a big key. Like, I used to face Georgia Tech in that triple option. For me, mentally heading into that game, I knew I was going to lose 2, if not 3 possessions. So like there was a sense of urgency on every possession of Bobo telling us, make sure you make it count. Rick telling us, make sure you make this drive count, because you're not going to get nearly as many as you're used to getting. Like, you just can't take a drive for granted, essentially.
Exactly.
Is that playing to your numbers at all?
Washington does make it count, though, right?
I do. They know they make it up. I think it adds still more of a level of stress, knowing that you may look up and Michigan gets the ball first. But you may not get your first possession until 7 minutes to go in the quarter.
So let me add on to that question then, because I'd actually written this before we had this conversation, and I'm looking at this Texas box score, right? And Washington nearly doubles up Texas's time of possession. And yet they nearly end up with the same amount of yardage for the game. And so I was actually wondering if Michigan's more conservative style almost plays into Washington's favor, because they're kind of exposed to maybe a little less risk.
Well, no, I was calling this because Colin talked about too, like they're going to run the football. Like, I don't think that matters for them.
Well, no, that's I want to get Colin's. Okay. I want to get Colin's.
Yeah, listen, these two teams are slow. Washington is 27.6 seconds per play. Michigan's slowest in the nation, 31.5 seconds per play. But you're right, Michigan is going to run the ball. They're going to use that clock to their advantage. They're going to eat it up, just abuse that Washington defensive front seven. But what's going to happen, Aaron's right, is at some point, Penix and Colin DeBoer are going to take fourth downs. They're going to take shots on second down. By the way, Washington, third highest rate of passing attempts on first down. They're not going to sit around and just run the ball and eat clock. They're going to throw. And when they throw, we're going to find out real fast what kind of pace this is going to be. But I like the over in this game because, yes, Michigan's going to try to eat clock, run Corum, But at some point, if they get a 2-score lead or maybe even a 1-score lead, you're going to see Washington start to air this out. And that plays right into Marcus Wood's referee crew, who's going to start throwing flags. He averages 14 a game. I think, absolutely this could be slow. I could be talked into a first half under here. But at some point, if Washington is trailing by 2 scores, it's going to get aired out and flags and yards are going to start racking up.
So I think the perfect example, I think Turner brought this up. I mean, look at the Oregon State game. I mean, Washington won, but Oregon State had the ball for 37 minutes, 22 minutes as a 22-20 game. Like, do we think it's going to be like that? I know it was rainy. I mean, you factor in the weather in that game. Was not Penix's best game because of that. But I mean, Oregon State just ate up the clock and went super slow. So even with that, you feel like an over.
Oh, I still feel like an over because Michigan is going to be more successful than Oregon State in scoring in the red zone and their scoring opportunities. It's going to force Washington to be more aggressive in the second half of this game if they're trailing. I mean, listen, Oregon State only scored, less than 3 touchdowns. I don't see Michigan doing that here. They're going to have no issues running the ball.
So Turner Young, $5 super chat says Giles Jackson as a Michigan transfer, hammer, talk about touchdown props. But then he asked something that I kind of wanted to ask. He asked in a different way. He does another super chat says, is this the same guy who bet Oregon to lose to who bet Oregon over Washington twice? But I don't care about that. But what I do want to get your insight on is how do you square the disconnect that appears to be between the database systems and this Washington football team? Because I keep falling back on intangibles, but it seems like a lot of times this year, the numbers have looked like pretty, even sometimes wildly out of did not favor Washington. And yet all they do is consistently find ways to win. So how do you square that circle?
Well, I mean, there's a reason for all of that. Washington was terrible for an entire month. Plus, I took an Oregon 30-1 because I had a Washington 100-1 in my back pocket. And at the time, Bo Nix was on track to win the Heisman. Third downs have been unbelievable for Washington here. They've actually been dominated on the ground by both Texas and Oregon. They just show up in third downs. Texas and Oregon, 7 of 21 in third down situations against Washington. So it's really hard to justify looking at all the stats from Washington on the rushing side and say, well, how come they've been able to stop an attack like Oregon on the ground? They have swarmed to the football. They're healthy. Their safeties are healthy. And that is something that doesn't show up in the stats. It doesn't show up in the box score, is how healthy and clutch the second level defenders for Washington's defense have been over these past 2 games.
And so we talked about kind of the scenario where if Michigan gets a lead and then Washington's playing catch up, airing it out. What if this Washington offense forces Michigan into a deficit? It could be like a turnover, whatever. I'm just saying, like, hypothetical, you can make it luck, make it whatever, but they go down like 10. What have you seen out of JJ McCarthy and company? Do you think that they can explode their way back into that?
Well, sure. It's going to be Sherrone Moore's worst nightmare, which is I'm going to have to get McCarthy out of the pocket, get him on the move, and I'm going to have to look downfield in between the hash marks. It's not the preferred style of offense that Michigan wants to do, but they've gone blow to blow with TCU before. And as far as, getting into those types of games, it's not the game they want to play. Their best advantage is on the ground, but if they get behind, they are absolutely able to play enough tempo and verticals and get McCarthy on the move to do that. Now, he hasn't had an interception since week 4. But, they've also limited his exposure and with low risk passing, but that will change if they're trailing.
Yeah. JG's progressed, but also the best games he had during the early part of the season were against lesser opponents. Do we look too much into the numbers of Washington's defense? Because you look at the yards given up per game, the amount of points given up per game, it is literally the worst defense if they do win a championship, the worst statistical defense to win a championship, ever. Yeah. Better than obviously LSU's, or worse than LSU's defense from 19, worse than Auburn's defense back in 2010. This defense, these type of defenses don't win championships. Is it a factor in your mind though, because of the way their offense plays, that's part of the reason why they give up so many points or so many yards and points? Is that, or I'm trying to ask, are they as bad as we think they are?
The defense is better than we think they are, but it's still not great. I think they're on a heat. Like, listen, we all get on heaters at the blackjack table. Right now, Washington is on a heater on third downs. They finished 81st nationally in third down defense, but right now they just dominated Oregon and Texas on third downs. But make no mistake, those offenses are running just fine. They average 6.2 overall yards per play on rushing attempts against Washington. If they can do that, Michigan's going to have 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1 consistently here. So is Washington going to stick on that heater at the blackjack table on third downs? Probability says no.
Well, how about this, Mr. Mathman? A-Barge in the chat, using the undefeated law of transitive sports properties. Washington beat Texas by 6, who beat Bama by 10. So Washington would beat Bama by 16. Michigan beat Bama by 7. So Washington should beat Michigan by 9. Simple math, right?
Wow. Oh, listen, there are so many correlations between this Washington offense and the 2019 LSU. Does everybody remember that
Aaron, 2019? You feel validated, Aaron? Let's go.
What was 2019 LSU's offense? I'm not going to go into X's and O's. They simply picked out the empty spot in the field and hit it. That's exactly what Washington does. And you have to have great one-on-one tackling, which Michigan has. You have to be able to not allow broken tackles. I'm sorry, that's what Michigan has. Michigan has that too. So Michigan is equipped to handle this. But, I mean, Penix is on Burrow's level of 2019. I'm going to find an open spot. Doesn't matter who the player is. And that's why the props are so much fun on the Washington side. Because if it's an empty part of the field, they're going to hit it. There's no answer. LSU, at least defensively with Dave Aranda in 2019, they missed like 30 tackles against Vanderbilt in the middle of the season. By the time they got to the national championship game, they were missing 4 tackles a game. That defense transformed over the second half of the season for LSU. Washington's defense has done nothing for improvement except for show up on third down. They still can't defend the run.
So you like Michigan to cover here?
I do like Michigan, but 4 is my buying point. I am more than happy to stay off that 4.5. I think there's a lot of love in the market for Washington, and there should be, but they have to win 50-50 balls. They have to avoid penalties. This officiating crew could absolutely take them out of a couple of drives, and they can't defend the Michigan rush. Too much stuff piling up. 4 is my buying point on Michigan. There's a couple cheap shops out there at 4.5. You can buy it to -115, which is fine.
I just feel like there's one avenue for Washington winning this football game, and that's Michael Penix, which is more than capable of doing. Obviously, he's shown us throughout the season. He has to have an incredible football game where Michigan is just, that love is spread out amongst both sides of the football. They're just, to me, a more balanced team. They can win it on defense. They can win it running it. I'm still a believer that JJ, if asked to maybe do even a little bit more, maybe not do what Michael Penix has to do, but just a little bit more, is capable of doing that at times in this game. I don't know. I just think it's boys, and T-Bob's a Husky boy, but I just feel like this is a game where if Penix doesn't hit 350 plus with 4 touchdowns, Washington doesn't win the football game.
They have to win every 50-50. But I don't have any questions about the Michigan rush offense. But Washington has to hit every 50-50 ball like they did in the Sugar. I mean, but we knew that, right? I mean, I could telegraph that immediately, was that Washington was going to abuse that Texas secondary. I don't see it as much with these.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that was Texas' glaring weakness, whereas Michigan's pass defense. Now, granted, it's a Big Ten, so like you said, maybe not as good as the numbers would say, but the DBs are still significantly better than what Texas was bringing to bear.
Colin, do you look back at all of, obviously the Michigan game versus Ohio State when it comes to big play receivers this year, but kind of what Michigan has done to Ohio State over the past 3 seasons? Because obviously that's when you had multiple good receivers. That's when you had CJ Stroud, and Michigan has beat Ohio State over the past 2 years, who I would say skill-wise and quarterback-wise would be the most comparable to what Washington has this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Go back to that, because Jesse Minter was there for CJ Stroud version 2, and Mike McDonald, same Ravens staff, was there for CJ Stroud version 1. And they won those games, and they have been the better coach team. They've been the better scheme team. I'm not going to get into sign stealing stuff and all that junk, because frankly, it didn't apply to Alabama and they were fine there. So I think Michigan absolutely, if you go back to CJ Stroud days, shows you that they can handle an elite combination of quarterback and wide receiver, except the problem is Washington's got 3 of them. But again, it's 50-50 balls all the way. You got to win them.
Is there is it really 50-50 if you got Penix throwing it? No, I'm just kidding. Seriously. Is there a battle tested metric Like, I mean, you look at Washington down the stretch here, that run of USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State, Oregon, Texas, all games, we'll say for USC, which that was 10 and not even that close. But the rest of those games all decided by 7 or less. Is there any way of quantifying that, or does it come into the evaluation at all?
There is a stat, yes, and it was neutral in this, and there is 2 stats that I lean on heavily. One is called game control. That is, how often are you in control? Are you basically, when you look at a chart of live odds and like who's in control of the game and where is the line, these 2 teams rank number 1 and number 2 in game control of all of FBS. That's an ESPN stat. And then if you go to the, and you guys know I love the middle 8, right? I love the last 4 minutes of the second quarter. I love the first 4 minutes of the third quarter. It's a great chance for a gambling opportunity when a team gets 2 consecutive possessions. I got something interesting to say about that. But both these guys, Kalen DeBoer, Jim Harbaugh, they're both top 25 in middle 8. No win there whatsoever. Now, I have a very interesting stat. I was going to say for BBOC, but I'll let it out here.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh has deferred on every single coin toss that I could look up over the past 4 years, except one instance. Against Michael Penix in 2020, Michigan decided to take the ball first. It ended up in a 3-and-out. Penix immediately scored. I'm not saying that, Harbaugh wins the toss and he's going to take the ball here, but boy, I can't wait to get down to Houston here in a couple of days. I'm going to ask Harbaugh, why did you take the ball first against Penix in 2020? Because this is the only time in your history you ever did it. And, maybe he'll tell me he'll do it again. I doubt it, but, that's
I want to get to the super chat real quick from Turner Young.
Get to here.
Yeah, Turner Young, appreciate you obviously bringing in the juice here this Thursday afternoon. It's hilarious that Aaron has taken my 2019 LSU UW take, then says if Penix doesn't play great, they won't win. No shit. Say that about Burrow. The difference between, and T-Bob can hit on this too, so the difference between Washington and UW is the fact that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the running back in the day too. So like, did Burrow have to play great? Yeah, he did.
Nah, dog, that was still about Captain America. That was still about Joey B, though.
But 2 things. One, you had Clyde Edwards. 1. So there was a run aspect to that football team. 2, you had a better defense. And then
run aspect to Washington. I'll push back against that.
Not if your running back's banged up. And then 3, Penix has had bad games this season. Joe didn't have a bad game that entire year. Like Penix has shown us he is human this year. There was not one game in 2019 where Joe Burrow looked human. He was Superman.
Auburn game, you did look human.
Okay,
but it was the only one. It was the only one. If we're calling Penix's Arizona State and Washington State games human, in which
Oregon State game,
he's still through for 2-7. I mean, Oregon State, Oregon State, you would put in there as well. Or Oregon State's actually probably the most human, even though he got the 2 touchdowns.
Bo was pretty not human.
I don't disagree with Turner's point though, in that when the quarterback's your fucking Superman, like, of course, if he doesn't show up, like, you're probably not going to win the game. But like, I'll still bet on Michael Penix Jr. getting that shit done. All he's done when the stage has been the biggest has been really good.
I love hypotheticals, and T-Bob's going to love this because I still have my power ratings from 2019. LSU would be an 8.5-point favorite over Washington. And you guys are exactly correct. Burrow was flawless, as to where Michael Penix, I believe, has 9 turnover-worthy plays, maybe 8 or 9 interceptions this season. So he has had his moments where he's gambled and lost. Burrow never lost. The most immaculate thing I've ever seen. So LSU would beat him by 8.5.
Daniel wants a $5 super chat. Why are you acting like Washington's entire offense depends on 50-50 balls? LOL. That's not the only thing they do well.
Well, a 50-50 ball is, it's not the only thing they do well, but you're able to run. You're not going to be able to run against this Michigan front. And with Dylan Johnson hurt, it creates separate issues when you try to run inside zone. That's all Dylan Johnson runs is inside zone. Michigan dominates inside zone. I have, no doubts about that. But when I talk 50-50 ball, how many throws did you see in the highlight reel when Michael Penix had it up and either the defender or the wide receiver could have gone up and got it? I saw at least a half dozen, maybe 10, and Washington just dominated because they have 3 NFL ready wide receivers ready to go. But Michigan has a better secondary. So do those 50-50 balls get touched? They get tipped. There's definitely more resistance coming here than there was against Texas.
Yeah. And I don't want chat to get and listeners to get too married to the strict math of 50-50. He's more describing a type of play. Like, there's no doubt that with how Washington's played this year, they have the advantage on those plays. It's just that, to his point, he used the word resistance. Like Michigan, in theory, should be able to maybe win a couple more of those, whereas others are not, and that could maybe end up being the difference. This has been pretty fascinating. It always is, Colin. So, final picks: Michigan up to 4, and then give us those props again that you were in on.
I do like the over 2, key number 55. If you want to buy it down to minus 120, 55, I like that too. Props. We're going to go pretty conservative on the Michigan side. Anything you can get Blake Corum. My favorite is going to be Blake Corum, 2 rushing touchdowns. I've seen that at plus 150 out there. You're going to take it to minus 130 because that's where the true value stops. After that, you go to the Washington side of the ball. All of a sudden, Michael Penix Jr. is having designed runs. There is going to be pressure. I think it's in the playbook for Ryan Grubb. You're going to see him take off. Try to find Michael Penix Jr. over rushing yards up to about 14.5. Once you get past that, it is anybody. It's a roulette wheel of who the Washington first TD scorer is going to be. Because of the number of targets I've seen in the last 4 games, I'm going to go with Jeremy Bernard, first TD, 30-1. Or if you want to take the Washington, just Washington first score, 15-1. And also Michael Penix Jr., 30-1 first TD score, or Washington first TD score, 15-1. So, and JJ McCarthy, let's not forget. Don't think he's going to be in passing downs much. Don't think Sharon Moore is going to let him just wheel it over the middle. Sure, let's go JJ McCarthy, under a half interception, minus 135 out there.
There you go. Colin Wilson, host of the Big Bets on Campus podcast. He is the best. He's been with us all season long. I'll be fascinated to see, man. I'll be fascinated to see. I've been kind of flip-flopping on my picks, and this has certainly given me some interesting insight, though. There is still something about Washington that just finds a way to fade the numbers, but we'll see, man.
They do.
It's great.
I think Dylan Johnson needs to be full health. And I'll be down at player media. Tough. I'll be at player media day on Saturday. I'll be on the field Monday, and my eyes will be locked on Dylan Johnson. And if he can cut, if he looks healthy.
Staring at Johnson. That's what Colin loves to do more than anything else in this world. Colin, you have it's a bit of a reach.
You LSU fans.
Yeah. Hey, get ready for baseball season, okay?
I'm ready.
Because them Hogs about to get their ass kicked once again. Natty champs. I'm just kidding. We're not here to talk baseball. All right, Colin, thank you so much, man. You are the man, and we will talk to you again in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man. Colin Wilson, host of Big Bets on Campus podcast. He's awesome. Okay, I want to continue to talk about this game a bit because this is kind of giving us some other fascinating insight. But let's say like you maybe wanted to go to the game last minute. You suddenly got travel time to Houston. You want to download the Game Time app. It is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, theater events, whatever it is, right? And like, let's say, I don't know if you've ever done this, Aaron, but you buy tickets to like a football game, and then you actually get there and you're like, these seats suck. Like, I can't see shit. Well, Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can actually see the view from the seat that you are purchasing before you buy, right? So you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. It's also none of that bullshit where they like tack on a lot of money at the end. Like, sometimes you do these food delivery services at home and you're like, hold on a second. How did the price just double? Yeah.
Last night.
No, but so it's all in prices showing your total upfront. So you know the exact deal you're getting before you check out. It's last minute, like I said. And they got the best price guarantee. They got the flash deals, zone deals where you just buy in a section. And it'll find you the cheapest one in the section. It's just Game Time is the best ticketing app. You buy tickets in seconds, just 2 taps. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets to Game Times. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code SNAPS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code SNAPS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Dude, I had that happen to me last night. I'm ordering cookies from Crumble. $16 for 4 cookies. Go to checkout. It's $32.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know it's kind of fucked. I mean, but at the same time, it's kind of just like lazy fat ass tax. Like, go eat your own food. Actually, I'm kind of, even though this doesn't apply to the Crumble cookies ones, I'm kind of a believer that food shouldn't be delivered that isn't like traditionally delivered, right? like getting like a burger through an app like that or something never goes well. Fries don't hold over well. Like there's a reason why like pizza and Chinese are delivered. I mean, do we just have to keep reading Turner?
Hey, Turner, do we just
continue to throw $5 in here?
Do we let Turner join the stream if Washington wins on Monday?
I almost feel like yes. I feel like that's like a super VIP supporter of the channel.
Yes, Turner, you can join the boys you get 5 minutes to just rip me a new one on Tuesday. That's it. We're gonna put a clock on, and then your guys can get pulled off the stream after 5 minutes. You can join us.
The funny part is, I mean, Aaron was on Washington early on. It sounds like you've switched somewhere along the line.
I have switched along the line. Just the way Michigan's been built, man. You look at you feel like I was questioning whether this defense could slow down this offense, but they have done it for 2 years now against Ohio State. So like they maybe not this year to the extreme because they haven't faced an offense like this, but like the way it's been built, the way Harbaugh's built this football team and built this defense, it has been to have the beat Ohio State period. Washington is Ohio State.
They also know Ohio State way more intimately. No,
they
like
do,
you don't think that
but
comes
it's very
into play
similar.
Here?
Very similar.
Okay, I would trust you on evaluating the kind of schematics behind it.
With what they try to accomplish, it is very similar. And you look at the scores. Ohio State over 3 years has not scored over 30 points against Michigan.
I can't read that one, Turner. That's got a bit of racism in it. But I'll read this one though. He says, Aaron Murray, Washington is better than LSU. Washington is LSU 2019 without citing his source. Also, Aaron Murray. Michael Penix sucks so much more than Burrow, though.
Not so much more. No one said so much more. No one said so much more. I love Michael Penix. He's a Tampa boy. I'm rooting for my Tampa guy. Come on.
No, you can't just say that, though. That's not true. You're not actually rooting for him.
I'm rooting for him personally to have a good game, but I think Michigan's going to win. Yeah, I like the kid.
Okay.
Jeez.
So how does Washington win this game then? So Colin, I think I'll just read my notes before we talk to Colin. My official pick is Washington. They've played a harder schedule. They're more battle tested. They have the better quarterback and weapons. I think the gap is larger between Washington's QB and weapons and Michigan's QB and weapons. Then is the gap between Michigan's defense and Washington's defense. So I know a lot of people will push back on that, but I think it's larger because quarterback matters more than anything else on the field. And I also believe kind of counterintuitively, as I said during the interview, that Michigan's more conservative style may actually play into Washington's favor a bit because they're not the best on a play-to-play basis in terms of defense, and they're just not going to have to defend as many plays. And I think Washington's very comfortable in playing ball controlling games. Like I don't think Washington needs to get into track races at all. They've won every single way.
I'm not saying that Washington has to have a game go in the 30s or 40s. I'm just saying like it's not.
I have him.
That's more advantageous for them. That's more advantageous for them.
I have him scored even on the intangibles front. I have Michigan's advantages as better run game and better defense. I have him scored even on intangibles front. I have pretty much a wash with coaching, although I may give a slight advantage to DeBoer in the head coach department, but then the two coordinators from Michigan just put on like a fucking master class against Alabama.
One is coached in the Super Bowl, but we ignore that.
Well, but if I really wanted to paint that picture, couldn't I say that Harbaugh's lost like almost every big game he's ever played in? Like, I mean, I don't want to be a dick and point that out, but like that is true.
But he hasn't this year.
No, he hasn't. But that still is the first time, right? Michigan hadn't won a bowl game since Jake Butt was there. I heard him say that the other day. I was like, what the fuck? Are you serious? So look, the bottom line is I'm super hyped for the game because, like I said, you're going to get a new national champion for like both these schools haven't wanted to at least 98 before the BCS even started. I also got to even in the clutch moments because although Washington's done it more, there's nothing more clutch than what Michigan just did against Alabama. The only thing I don't know, Aaron, is I got to be honest. I'm lazy as fuck when it comes to special teams. I never have any desire to break them down.
Both
I never
look pretty shitty this past weekend.
When I watch film, I skip over all punts and kick returns.
Yep.
Like they're so damn boring. So I don't know that part of the game, which is bad analysis on my part. But yeah, so all that said, I like Washington. I'm going to be rolling with Washington money line because I'm like David Tepper. I'm insecure and I got giant fucking brass balls and I like to throw drinks on people. That's a bad joke. That didn't really make any sense.
My heart tells me Washington. My mind tells me Michigan.
But that's kind of the point. That's been Washington all year long. They've flown in the face of the brain, right? Like the mind has consistently said Washington should lose, but the heart keeps
coming. I'm also stuck with what I've preached for 3 years of. I talked about this week a little bit too of elite quarterback and receiving play is better than defense in today's game. I just think Washington's defense is going to get run over. Like I can see Michigan getting 5, 6, 7 yards a clip and just moving the ball down the field.
So isn't it weird though? Isn't it weird though when something feels that obvious? You don't feel that's obvious to the Washington coaching staff? Like you don't think that they can scheme selling out to stop the run and then making McCarthy prove you that he can pick you apart one-on-one, which he did it to Ohio State a couple of years ago, sure. But like that would be the play, right? Is sell out to try to stop Corum.
Well, you could say the same thing against Michigan. Like, why wouldn't you just play cover 2? And that's the big difference.
Still kicks cover 2's ass.
Not to the same extreme.
He does,
no, it's a lot harder to create explosive plays versus cover 2 than it is a single.
No, it is, but he's done it. But he's done it.
I know he's done it, but I would still bet on. I would still bet on
him every single way.
Yeah, I would still. Yeah, but no one has had the complete defense to be able to still get after a quarterback and play coverage successfully. Like Texas could get after the quarterback a little bit, but their DB still stunk. Like Michigan's finally the first defense that can truly get after the quarterback while also playing a little bit more of a defensive pass-friendly back end. Like they are a complete defense. They can truly rush 4 and drop 7 in the coverage.
Well, but
and why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you versus a team that right now their star running back, I don't know, if 50-50 to play, if that.
But again, they haven't faced an offense like Washington. So we know they're complete with what they faced. And to be clear, like, I agree with you. Like, you look and it's tough to parse because, Oregon, number 1 in the Pac-12 in pass defense, allowed just 215 a game through the air. Yep. Washington dominated, right? However, that 215 number is 54th in the country. Michigan's second, giving up 150 per game. But they play in the Big Ten, where the forward pass is still considered anathema. In fact, I've heard in some circles, they're not even sure if it's legal or not yet. So it's like, I don't know. Again, everything I'm saying, we are talking, and this is why it's such a good championship game. We are talking in the margins differences. It's all very slight stuff. And I don't feel like uber confident on my picks and it could go either way. And it's tough to parse certainly, but I am, I'm rolling Washington, better quarterback and weapons. And again, I think the gap between something like Penix and his weapons and McCarthy and his weapons is greater than the gap between the two defenses, which I completely understand if you don't agree with.
All right, I'm going Washington. Let's go.
Husky boys. Wow. Ooh, that's a bad sign for us.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
I have to stick with my guns here when it comes to elite quarterback.
Yeah, you can't be QB1 and be like,
I can't be QB1 and going for a team that runs the football. I just can't do it. It doesn't feel good to me. Let's go Penix. Let's go Penix. Right.
Penix up, Penix power.
I was gonna take Washington with the points anyways. I think 4 is too many. I think this is
it sounds game. Like Colin saying that 4 is 4.5 is too many. So yeah, like 4 is like right there as well. So I get it. I also like in these games, like just go money line because it's more fun. If you're gonna pick the dog, you know what I'm saying? Like just drop your fucking nuts and do it.
Because I don't want to be like you at the end of last game thinking that you're
Ottawa Traveler. We have not been against Michigan all year. In fact, if you check the snaps top 10s, much of the time I fought for Michigan to be number 1 before Georgia beat Kentucky. And then Georgia fans yelled at me that Georgia had to be number 1 after beating Mark Stoops badly at home. Look how good this fucking Georgia team is. And well, that's when Georgia supplanted them or somewhere around there. No, I think the Kentucky game, I actually had to stop you from trying to make Georgia number one because you beat fucking Kentucky.
All right. So what does Michigan have to do to win now that we've changed the narrative? Both of us are on Washington.
I think Colin laid it out, right? I mean, like they run the fuck out of the ball, control it. Washington can't stop him. And then just Michigan having such a good defense wins them more of those one-on-ones that Washington consistently wins, and it causes Washington to stall out. So I feel like Colin pretty much covered that.
I think we should take all the money from Turner Young today and put it on Washington money line. Team snaps bet.
Yeah, where does that money go?
Where does that money go?
To the volume, which it should.
Probably.
You know, they fund us, they pay us. I'm fine with that. That's great.
Yeah, but I think Colin's on Washington. We're on Washington.
I don't like this. See, this is what I fucking hate them. Is that they everybody's been consistently fading them, right? And now it's like fool me once, fool me twice. You're not going to fool me 3 times, and now everybody's rubber banding back the other way.
This would be like fool me like 4 or 5 times by now. I mean, we're up here.
That's what I'm saying, but I just don't like that from a It's like, you know, I wanted to still be in here kind of alone. Now that everybody's in here, it feels less cool and it feels a little more sketchy. It feels a little bit like the ship. I don't know if, you know, are we exceeding the maximum occupancy for our Washington yacht? Probably not. Because Washington.
Who does America want to win? Washington? I'm guessing America wants Washington.
Yeah, bro. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think America's very pleased to not have to watch the Saban Smart Invitational. And so either champion is acceptable, but Michigan's got the cheating stuff. Harbaugh's more of a complicated character. Kalen DeBoer's like blue collar, come up from Sioux Falls, like fucking Dakota coach, worked his way through FCS, FBS. All he does is win. Washington ain't won a natty since 91. It's like anybody has any great hate against Washington. I apologize on my Cougs. I know that you really do hate them, but no, it's easily Washington is the heart's favorite going into this game. 10 super chats from Turner Young today. What a G, dude. Shout the fuck out, dude.
And too, better story to have the Pac-12 win the natty the last year of their existence. I do like the
Jake West.
Nice
it's a big title at this point. Just face it, dude. It's a big title, honestly. Jake Westerberg says $5 super chat. I don't think anyone outside Michigan fans knows a starting receiver there. JJ McCarthy is a discount Bo Nix. 34-28 Washington takes it. I kind of like that discount Bo Nix take. Although again, I think JJ where Nix kind of, I hate this for him, but in the big moments, Nix has stumbled. I think McCarthy, meditation, everything else, I think McCarthy's more prepared for those big moments.
Just meditate.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I think that's probably kind of true. Anytime I've ever started to engage in mindfulness, I feel way better about it. I'm just not disciplined enough to keep it up. Hey now. But I mean, look, Roman Wilson did very well in terms of like a Michigan receiver. Roman Wilson did very well against that Alabama secondary, or good enough. Daniel, $5. Washington will grab the lead early, how they have all year, and force Michigan to open up unless Michigan wants to run the clock down. Unless Michigan wants to run the clock down 14. I mean, again, maybe. I don't know that. I don't think it's that cut and dry, but that would be Washington's best path to victory if they could take out some of Michigan's rushing attack with their scoring, right? With their own scoring. Like that could be the best rush defense that Washington has.
Do you think Michigan can get into the 40s? I think that's the question, because I do think that Washington's good enough to score in the low to mid 30s.
You think Michigan's going to score in the low to mid 30s?
I'm saying, is Michigan good enough to get to mid 30s?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So it's a shootout. It's over. You're taking the over too.
I don't think it's a shootout. I think it's kind of similar to the Oregon game and stuff, and not unlike Texas, where the score will be in the 30s. But I don't know that I would describe either of those games as a shootout.
No,
right? They were pretty consistently played throughout. Shootout is Ole Miss and LSU just fucking pissing down their leg defensively and letting everybody score at will. Ottawa Traveler says Washington State and Oregon State held Washington low 20s. Yeah, again, but like, then why couldn't Texas do it? Why couldn't Oregon do it? Like, I don't care about Washington's down games because all they've done is find ways to win every single week, and especially in the biggest games.
Can't believe
this
I'm doing it.
Turner Young says, as a QB in the big house, had Harbaugh do versus my old man's Orange Bowl winning team. His Turner's dad played at Washington, team that won the Orange Bowl back in the day, even after beating number 1 Miami the week before. Penix is 1-0 versus Michigan. I don't understand the last part. That's the second time that you've used your dad's experience beating Michigan in the big house and Harbaugh as Penix being 1-0. Are you Penix's brother, Turner Young? That'd be badass. Or is your dad Michael Penix's dad? Because I love Michael Penix, dude. If he wants to come to the show, come on. I doubt it, but I doubt that he's your dad, but it'd be cool. Colin Yoon says Texas couldn't do it because T-Bob's right about Steve. No, look, I want to be clear. I'm officially granting Steve Sarkisian the rank of good coach nowadays. He
Penix versus Michigan back in 20. No, he didn't play that game.
Oh, what about the Indiana game? Did they beat him? No, they didn't beat him in that game.
He didn't play in 2021.
2020? That was the good Indiana year. Oh, they did beat them that year. That's where I think they beat him that year. Mamba 24, $5 super chat. This Washington offense is like 2021 in Ohio State. Michigan is built to beat a team like this. Look, that is a fair take. And I had to consider that before he came to the show this year, this today. And I don't think that, like, if that's your take and what you're rolling with, like, I think that is a fine logic foundation to build your home upon.
Who is the quarterback from Michigan in 2020? Indiana beats Michigan 38-21. Michael Penix Jr. 30 of 50, 342, 3 touchdowns. Who is Michigan's quarterback?
Denard Robinson. No.
Transferred.
I have no idea.
Joe Milton.
What? No way, dude. Okay, hell yeah, dude. Oh, look at chat. They knew. They were on it, dude. Hey, Yamaliava looked pretty good, dude. Are you buying Nico stock?
I am buying Nico stock.
Which stock would you rather buy? Okay, Crypto Boy.
Ooh,
you got Garrett Nussmeier and Yamaliava. You can only have one.
Nico.
Oh, you piece of shit. Good.
Nico.
More Nussbus coin for the rest of us.
I just think that offense is just built to put up stats. Like, that's the difference. Like, it is. You can blink and all of a sudden that quarterback is throwing for 74% completion and a bunch of yards and touchdowns. Like, it can happen that fast in Heupel's offense.
Yeah, get ready, guys. We're gonna try to now that not to brag.
Crypto's back.
We're at 12.8, dude. We're at 12.8 subscribers. We're almost at 13. Let's fucking go, dude. If we get hit 13 by the night, it'd be incredible. So now that we're becoming YouTube stars, we got to get into scheming our audience through crypto. Okay. Yeah. It's just kind of a rite of passage on YouTube. So look out for Snaps Coin coming soon. I've kind of designed the whole thing like a pyramid, but y'all can be on the top, right? Okay, and who wins pyramid schemes? Us on the top. Okay, guys. So we're gonna go take advantage of people together. Maybe a little different than how the Paul brothers and company do it. Go Dog, $5 super chat. Turner Young throwing money and talking cash shit at y'all. Just imagine them Houston strippers hearing him tell them game sets after a win. Turner Young said he's from Houston, or at least lived there at a time. If this man is in Houston for the Natty, and look at him, he said in the chat, I'm already in Club Onyx. It's already great to be a dancer in Houston, not just because James Harden used to live there, but anytime there's a major sporting event. But yes, Turner Young's going to be in the private room. And as he's getting dancing, he's just going to be like that meme, just over talking into the girl's ear. I told you Michael Penix was like Joe Burrow. I told you. I fucking told Aaron Murray. Fucking tried to tell that stupid little bitch. He don't want to listen to me. And she's like, what are you talking about?
Just shut up and let me dance on you. All right.
You don't like snaps?
Sam in the chat. Aaron Murray, I want to know why guys like you, blue chip quarterbacks, never go to Michigan. Did Michigan recruit you? Did you consider them? I was dying to get you to Michigan. We never had a chance. Michigan just has not had a great history of quarterbacks. I mean, the fact that right now this may be the greatest quarterback in Michigan history, JJ McCarthy, tells you everything you need. And I'm nothing against JJ. I think JJ is a good quarterback. But I'm just saying, like, that's not like this is a Heisman Trophy, like big, like they've never been like the big, sexy stats, elite, consistent receivers or quarterback play. Like, I mean, your biggest time quarterback is Tom Brady, and Tom Brady had a very average career at Michigan.
No, remember we did this before the season. And it is shocking at how unimpressive the all-time Michigan quarterback list is.
Yeah.
Like the people who lead it statistically, I forgot his name, but we're talking about like a wide receiver who like played quarterback for like 2 years. It's not
Greasy?
Good. Greasy's in that mix. He's in that mix, but it's not, it's really nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
John says you guys are ignorant. Michigan had a ton of blue chip quarterbacks and I'm just talking about what they did once they got there. I don't know about going there.
Yeah.
Jake Westerberg, $5 super chat. Michigan's built to beat a team like this. Is such a cop out when they played maybe one decent offense all year long in Ohio State with a mid QB. I get what Aaron's saying, because he's saying that he's going beyond this year. He's not talking about the Kyle McCord year. They're talking about beating CJ Stroud led
Ohio State.
Also,
it's just so cold up there. Like, I'm a Southern boy. I'm not trying to go to Michigan and play quarterback, just to be honest. Going back to that question. The chat also wants to know when I'm going to have my throwing competition with Brooks. T-Bob was gracious enough. He's actually going to do the competition for me. He feels pretty confident that it'd be a waste of my time. So T's going to do it. And
I cannot throw a ball over. I've had 2 labrum surgeries. I literally can't throw a ball over like 15 fucking yards, dude. Brooks would smoke me. He's got a cannon. All right. Thank y'all so much.
That's 15K. I will actually honor my bet. 15K subscribers. I'll do a throw off with Brooks.
And chat, I'm still taking suggestions for other things, since I have, for now, not gotten the fuckboy fade. Coming for Hot Boy Summer in April. Do not worry. We will do something I'll do something. And we're committing though to the live stream during the game on Monday. Are you in?
I'm in.
You don't got to work it or anything, right? Seriously, got you run around anywhere? All right. Hell yeah. Fucking right, boys. Thank you all so much. We really do love you. Thank you for supporting the show. Hit the like button, sub to the channel, and we will see you as we just continue to break down this game and the run up to it. It's so much fun. I can't wait. Share with your friends. We love you. We'll talk to you later. More snaps. Bye. Oh, wait, hold on. Thank you to Pat Gunther, Ryan Brumley, Adam Gracia, Chris Tran, Danny Cardenas, everybody on Team Snaps making the show happen. Doing an incredible job. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time.